I don't have a lot of videos planned for tonight, and I'll tell you why in the next video here. But we had family movie night tonight, and also part of the problem is really my modem is dying. It's cutting out, it's having issues, it's doing almost everything that it's ever done that typically our modems have done when they were on their last legs. So part of it would just be it'd be futile for me to be recording some of the stuff that I've wanted to talk about, and so on and so forth. Anyways, we had movie night tonight, and we saw Life of Pi, and yeah, um, I wasn't sure how to approach this movie because, as far as I knew, this was pretty much a boy in a boat with a tiger story after a shipwreck, after losing his entire family story. But then I go on to read all of these blogs about, oh, Life of Pi is a pro-theist movie, Life of Pi is a pro-atheist movie. And I'm reading these things and I'm just like, wow, I don't know what to do with this information here. I knew some of what to expect coming in, but frankly, I tried to just leave it at the door because I just wanted to watch the damn movie. And so, basically, towards the end of everything, I'm trying to watch the movie, and I'm just basically trying to enjoy it, not as somebody who would somewhat identify as atheist, although, again, that's another video that I'll be getting into at some point. And more of just trying to watch this movie on its own merits. But meanwhile, in the back of my head, there's little chatters going on in my head. And halfway through the movie, I'm just like, is this an atheist movie? Is this a theist movie? Who cares? No, seriously, who cares? When somebody says, "Oh, Life of Pi is a theist movie," your first word should be, "Who the hell is Pi?" Because at the end of the day, what were these blogs even meaning? This is a movie. If you're taking it that seriously, you're taking this movie way too damn serious. No, I'm not joking. Does ice cream taste different knowing that Pi is a theist or possibly atheist? Does the sun shine differently if Pi happens to be a theist or an atheist? What does this change in your world? Is this movie reforming education and replacing science with creationism? Or replacing creationism with strict science? What does this movie matter? What does this matter? It doesn't matter. If anything is to be angry about, in my opinion, it's that this movie's really not original. No, I'm not joking. One of the things that started to strike me was I started having flashbacks to Tim Burton's Big Fish. Now, I'm going to say spoiler alert here because I don't want somebody to come onto my channel and be like, I didn't watch Real Big Fish or Big Fish, so you spoiled it for me. You're an ass. I'm sure somebody might still, but fine, whatever. But I'm at least putting this get out of jail free card on the screen right now. This movie was the dialogue of the doctor at the end of Big Fish, when the doctor is talking to the skeptical son, the son who grew up with all these fantastical stories about how to catch a, how to catch a big fish with a ring of gold, or how, or sort of a fanciful version of How I Met Your Mother, kind of thing, and at the end of the day, the doctor turns to the The doctor tells the real story of the birth of the son. And in parting, the doctor says, now that you know the real story, or one of these things here, he's just like, if you ask me personally, I prefer the big fish story. I'm paraphrasing. I haven't seen the movie in quite some time, though I do like Big Fish. But like different characters, or at least the fatherly character in a way, is the skeptical son to a degree, and the mom is to a degree also the doctor. And then the I'm gonna make you, or now that I've told you two different stories, none of which I can prove, not that that would matter in my opinion. Um, which story do you prefer? After telling a very fanciful story and telling a very horrendous story. Gee, I wonder which one the writer's going to go with. You know, but I mean, that was kind of the thing, was it was just like this, and then when the writer makes what would probably be the more logical choice in this scenario here, it becomes that. It becomes, oh, between the reality of my survival versus my fanciful story, people are going to prefer the fanciful story kind of narrative. And that's not original. I mean, I kept having flashbacks to Real Big Fish, because that was basically what was being slapped in my face as far as this movie. Does it make it necessarily a bad movie, though? No, not really. But my thing was, I just didn't get why people were making such a big damn deal about this. This was not anywhere near a big deal to be made, about this movie. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a movie. It can't hurt you. It can't do things to you. And I know some people would say, well, they lure you in with the special effects and then they indoctrinate you with it. No! See, some of the sticking points were the fact that people were reporting that Pi, and of course, a lot of people were focusing on just the what the writer said, not what Pi actually said, which bugs the heck out of me. People were focusing on the fact that somebody had told the writer that Pi's story would make him believe in God. Pi himself said, well, I will tell you my story, and then you will decide for yourself. That's not Pi saying, oh, I know there's a God, and I'm going to prove it. Because at the end of the day, Pi proved nothing. When you hear his stories about how he met Jesus, he doesn't really meet Jesus. When he talks about how he met, Krishna, he doesn't actually meet Krishna. None of this stuff actually even illustrates itself in what I would even consider to be a metaphorical meeting of people sort of scenario there. There's no substance to it, in other words. But at the end of the day, so what? So what? If the writer prefers the more, what some would consider theistic story narrative, so what? It's a friggin' movie. We're taking this stuff way too seriously now, and then a story that, the only thing I had a major problem with was the fact I got mad at Pi at the end of the movie simply because I felt like those shipping people. He talks about, or at least in the movie, it creates this great narrative of Pi watching the ship taking on too much water. Maybe he doesn't know the absolute mechanics of it, but he witnessed the event. He witnessed the event. He could at least give them the details, the straight details. And the fact that he wastes their time with this fanciful story, whether the tiger was there or not, and makes up this story instead of just telling them the straight story about how the ship sank from what he saw. It made me mad. I know, it's such a little detail, but I'm just like, you little prick. I don't care if you honestly believe in your Tiger Mysterious Island whatever story. I don't care. The fact is, you watched the ship sink. You are probably the best person with which to be able to tell him how the ship sunk, and you're not telling them. You could have saved yourself so much of a headache as well as not wasted these guys' time, because I'm sorry, fictional character, that your fictional family died. I seriously got pissed off. I was biting my tongue, of course, because I was wanting the family to enjoy it. But that was my one sticking point. Because in a way, that was an excuse for them to shoehorn in the second, more horrific story and give us this choice. And again, people could be mad about the choice. We could create this whole scenario, but I'm just like, it's a movie. If you care that much about this, you care about this way, way too much. You know, I mean, I knew what to expect, mostly Passion of the Christ. I have never watched that movie. I do not care to watch that movie, but at the end of the day, I consider it to be just a movie. Unfortunately, there are people on either side who take that movie way too seriously. And I'm just going, why? Why? What does it honestly matter? How has it changed your life? Or the life of people that you know? Is Life of Pi coming with pamphlets about about the one true God or the gods or whatever was presented there? No. It's not particularly original writing, but it's not the worst movie I've seen. That honor sort of kind of goes to Prometheus, but I digress.